This is the story of a football team who gets stranded in an impossible situation. The best rescuers are called from different parts of the world, but they are unable to do the job. Let's see what becomes of these boys. Welcome to Movie Recall. In today's video, we will be going through the 2022 movie 13 Lives. It's time to recall. Let's get started, turn on subtitles, and spoilers ahead. The movie starts and we are taken to June 23, 2018, when 12 boys of the junior football team Wild Boars and their assistant coach Ekafon Chantawong leave practice to explore the Tam Luang Cave. The team consists of teenagers aged between 11 to 16. It's the birthday of one of their team members. The boy goes to his parents and helps them with the chores while the whole team makes their way to the cave, which happens to be a really famous tourist destination. They get to the cave at 3 p.m. and go on to write the names of the team members on the walls of the famous cave. All of them are very excited to explore the cave. The cave is really big, and it happens to be a really dangerous one as well. It can contain millions of gallons of water, and on top of that, it has many tunnels that could end up confusing the tourists, and they could very easily get lost in it. The boys do not get back till late in the evening, and their families now start getting worried. They then decide to make their way to the cave to find the boys. It starts to rain heavily, and when the families get there, they get to know that the cave has been flooded. They panic at this because they very much know that once the cave is full of water, it becomes a killer spot. They right away go on to call the authorities, and a rescue team arrives in a few minutes. The parents only find the bikes of the kids, and the governor has also gotten the news that 12 teenage boys and their coach are missing, and they went into the cave despite the bad weather. The governor right away calls the Navy SEALs to get the kids out of there, but even the Navy SEALs start to feel lethargic when they make their way deep into the tunnel looking for the boys. The cave has many shallow paths and they can barely see anything, so a lot of divers are already injured. When the divers get out of there empty-handed, the parents start losing hope, and just like that, many divers keep going in, but to no avail. The news has now reached the Prime Minister, and he is upset with the governor. He tells them to clear the situation and find the kids as soon as possible. He tells them that he should have been prudent about it and that he is expected to do a better job. The governor is told that he will be kicked out of his office after this mess has been cleared, as the Prime Minister is really disappointed with him. The rain, on the other hand, does not stop, and that keeps making the situation even worse. The governor then comes up with a plan. He decides that he is going to use the water pumps to try and lessen the amount of water in the cave, and when the level of water is down, they will have more chances to find the kids. They bring an engineer, and that man tells them that his plan is not going to work because the water keeps coming into the cave as it is constantly raining, so they are going to have to stop the water from entering the cave at first, and that is really difficult because it is entering through what we can call the sinkholes. The man says that they are going to have to block all the sinkholes. Many people around the area volunteered to help the authorities get the water out of the cave. They then make their way to spot the sinkholes and block them all. It has been 5 days since the kids disappeared in that cave. The rain, on the other hand, still has not stopped, and this is what makes it impossible for them to lower the level of water inside the cave. Vernon Unsworth, a local British caver, shares his extensive knowledge of the complex and dangerous cave and suggests the authorities get in touch with the British Cave Rescue Council. British cavers Rick Stanton and John Valanthan are reached out by the Thailand government, and they right away agree to help. They then reach the place, and by this time we see that there are already 1,000 army soldiers and 4,000 civilians working there. On the other hand, the media is also there, which of course does not make it any easier for the authorities. This is the time for the two men to dive into the cave. They put on their kits and oxygen masks and make their way into the cave. The two swim on and end up reaching to spot in the cave. This is a famous spot, and it is known as the T-Junction. Before them, many Navy SEALs tried going in, but their guidelines came to an end at this spot because it was impossible for them to keep going forward, as they themselves could very much end up getting lost into the depth of the cave and the zigzag of the tunnels inside. This spot is 1,600 meters inside the entrance of the cave. They take almost 3 hours to get to this spot. While they are on their way, they come across a man inside who has run out of oxygen, and luckily for him, they bring him outside. When the two Brits are going away from the cave, they see a temple, and there they notice the famous statue of the sleeping princess. The nearby residents tell them that if they look at the mountain from afar, it looks just like a sleeping princess, and that is why it has been named just that. They also believe that the sleeping princess also looks over the people who enter the famous cave. The rain does not seem to stop, and it starts to rain even more heavily, so the situation in the cave gets worse, and they decide to stop the operation for the next 2 days. On the 7th day of the operation, a Navy SEAL named Saman goes on to join the captain in looking over the operation named Anand. Another day goes by just like that, and on the 8th day of the operation, the minister of the area goes on to see the experienced man named Nadi Siri. He is the man who already has told them that pumping out the water is not going to help them at all because the water keeps sinking in from above anyway. So there's no point to try and drain it out of the cave because it is a back and forth move and won't do them any good. They are now going to block the holes through which the water has been seeping into the cave. The man tells them to divert the flow of water towards the nearby fields. The minister, having no other choice, right away agrees to the plan, and the farmers also agree because they have already tried out everything. The next day, the two Brits again make their way into the cave, and this time they even go past the T-junction. They, however, still don't find the kids, and so they decide to keep moving to hope they might find the boys. After having looked around for 6 long hours, they finally spot the kids. They see that all the kids are miraculously still alive, and their coach is also there. John and Rick are now shocked too because they cannot process the fact as to how in the world these kids have survived for so many days without having eaten anything. The kids then tell them that they survived with the help of the meditation. John tells the kids that they are going to be back soon and that they will get help and they will get them all out of there. Rick, however, does not like this because he knows that John is just lying. He is well aware that the kids are too weak and they cannot take them out of there. If they try, they are all going to die on the way, so it is not possible. They, however, shoot a video of the kids, and when they go out, they show it to everyone, and all of them are happy and shocked to learn that the kids are still alive. And they start celebrating the good news, but then they are told that it is impossible to get them out of there alive. Rick and John, however, tell the Navy SEALs about how they can manage to at least get to the kids. The Navy SEALs follow their instructions and go to bring the kids some food. They have also brought a doctor with them who goes on to check up on the coach and all the kids. When the Navy SEALs try to make their way out of there, they realize that they have used too much oxygen trying to get to that place, so 2 of the Navy SEALs decide to stay back while the other makes their way back. The families of the kids are now getting restless out there, and they go on to give a lot of shit to the governor for still not being able to get the kids out of there despite the fact that they have already been found. Realizing the boys will have to be removed through the cave via a 6-hour dive, Stanton and Volanthen contact Dr. Richard Harris, plus supporting divers Chris Jewell and Jason Mallinson. Chris and Jason right away start working, and they make their way into the cave to deliver some food to the boys. Dr. Harris is also there, and he goes on to see Rick and John. They then talk about different possibilities and tactics through which they can get the kids out of there. They decide that they are going to give anesthesia to the kids and get them out of there. Harris, on the other hand, is skeptical about this job, and he goes on to say that he has stopped doing these things for a long time now. It is the 15th day of the operation. We see Saman going inside the cave to deliver some food to the kids, but he gets stuck and finds himself unable to get out of there. His cylinder leaks, and he dies after drowning in the merciless water inside the cave. All the people out there learn about the death of the man, and a wave of sadness goes through the whole rescue camp. They now stop going inside the cave like they've been going frequently. The man's death hits a nerve in Harris. He himself now goes on to say that they should help those kids, as if they don't try to help them get out of there, they're going to die inside that cave anyway, so why should they not try to help them? He says that even if the kids die while they try to save them, at least they will have the satisfaction that they did their part to the utmost best in trying to save the kids. They go on to share the whole thing with the governor, and he also understands that they really have no other choice, so they should just get on with this plan. Dr. Harris goes on to teach how much anesthesia they are going to give the kids, because if they overdose, they could die as well. They have to be really precise about it, because if the dose is not enough, the kids could die in that case as well. When they are about to get on with their plan, they see that all the media persons have been removed from the camp so that no one gets to know about their plan. They go inside the cave and reach the kids. They select 4 children whom they are going to take out. They are made to wear a diving suit and an oxygen mask. They are then injected with a dose of anesthesia, and the doctor also tells them that swim back out is 6 hours long, so the kids can wake up too, so if they wake up, they're gonna have to inject them with another dose to keep them unconscious until they are out of the cave. They manage to take the boys out, and all the people out there are thrilled to see the kids alive, but Jason is really traumatized as one of the kids in his care almost died. That boy is rushed to the medical facility, and the other boys are also getting checkups by the doctors out there, and they turn out to be fine. They, however, do not spread the news about the rescued kids, as they are still unsure as to how many kids they can get out of the cave alive. Much to their dismay, heavy rains start yet again, and Rick now decides not to go back in there as it is going to be useless and much more dangerous now. He, however, sees that a lot of people are counting on them as their beloved ones are out there, and he ends up changing his mind about not going back in. We also get to know that the level of the water due to heavy rain is rising, and if the kids are not taken out of there soon, they could die there. On the other hand, groundwater engineer Nod Siri and his team have deployed water-diverting pipes, sand blocks, and have used giant bamboo trees as pipes, and it is working well. Now less water is going into the cave. The divers right away make their way into the cave. When they are on their way out with the kids, Chris ends up getting separated from the others as he is unable to hold on to the rope that is keeping everyone attached. He panics and takes the kids to the side. The boy is in a bad condition, so Rick tells him to wait for Dr. Harris to arrive. The doctor gets there and they finally manage to get the kid out of there alive. Now they have rescued all the remaining kids, the coach, and the stranded Navy SEAL officers as well. When one of the Navy SEALs is almost about to drown due to the sudden heavy pressure of the water, he is saved by another officer. When the team of the 4 main men gets to the camp, Chris is still traumatized, and John tells him to take it easy as they have done a great deed. The families of the kids then come to them and tell them that they are really grateful for what they have done for their kids. All the boys, along with their coach, are taken to the hospital, and they are kept there until they are completely healthy. They then go on to celebrate the birthday of their colleague, the one they were supposed to celebrate the day all of them got stranded into the cave. And on that happy note, the movie comes to an end. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to get new movie recaps.